Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. My name is McHugh Pierre. I'm Goldbell's president and CEO. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have a slide presentation to go over some of the material that you received in your annual report. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to reach out and share the good news. There's so much exciting stuff happening at Goldbell. And I know you've heard about it in the news. You've heard about it from your friends and fellow shareholders. And it's an opportunity for me to try this new way of delivery. So we're always looking for new and innovative ways to reach out to you, our shareholder, and tell you what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we can really continue to work together to meet your needs and also to improve our community and better our lives and fulfill our mission as Juneau's Alaska Native Corporation. So Goldbell had a really awesome year in 2021, and it's been tough going through the pandemic, and we're not quite out of it. But we've been able to take those lemons, turn them into lemonade, and have very strong business growth. And again, I just couldn't wait until we reached our annual meeting to share that news with you. So if we go to our slides, we're going to see our election materials have been sent out to everyone. They went out on Friday, and I know there may have been some hiccups. And I want you to know that we're always working to share those election materials the best way that we can. You can also vote on the My Goldbell portal, mygoldbelt.com. That's a great way to get out and vote and share your concerns. And we'll also have a copy of this video up for other people to watch and review through the portal if they couldn't make it live today. The election materials are sent out from a company we used in Anchorage this time. And as you know, with changing costs and making sure that we are frugal and prudent with Goldbell resources, so we maximize our benefits that we can give to you, we elected to use a company out of Anchorage instead of a company in Juneau. And it did change some of the mailing process, but we always do an after action on our election every year to make sure that we learn from our mistakes, that we see where things went very well and where things didn't go so well and improve on that. And it's not to say that we won't use a Juneau company next year, but we very well may. We always keep our options open. So let's move from the election material over to the agenda for the day. And as you can see, we're going to talk about some of the dividends, our financial reports, and then other areas that we are utilizing our resources to improve your benefits. I think that it's important for us to reflect and remember our intent. You know, how was Goldbell created? Why was Goldbell created? And what are we going to do to continue to honor that intent, to continue to live up to the goals and objectives that our elders sought when Goldbell was created back in 1974 and when ANCSA was passed? There was a big fight for that. To reach the level that we're at today, a $500 million annual revenue business is quite the achievement, and it's all because of the foundation our elders laid to create the company that we have and we're so proud of. So let's go to the next slide and we can continue to talk about some of the facts. And this is a really cool chart that we're also excited to share. Last year, we had an incredible year, and our distributions reflected that. We had two $7 distributions. We had a special distribution in the summer, and we had our normal distribution in the fall for a total of $14 per share. One of the most amazing things about this is that utilizing the 646 Trust, the Goldbell Tanah Distribution Trust, Senator Lisa Murkowski helped change the law in 2017 to allow us to make distributions to you through these trusts without you having to pay federal taxes. And so, you passed this trust in 2019, and we executed on that. We made our first distribution in 2019 through the trust. We did it in 2020, and we used our two distributions in 2021 through this trust, and we saved you a total of $1.8 million. You got that in your pocket. You got to keep that money. It normally would have been taxed. It would have went to Uncle Sam. And so we're so thrilled that you're able to keep that money in your pocket, to utilize that to better your family, your friends, and make sure that you can, spend it to the best needs that you have at the time. Another element that I want to talk about regarding distributions is that There's sometimes confusion from shareholders. They call up and ask, hey, where's our spring distribution? What's going on? Well, Goldbell has given a spring distribution in the past. It was a rare thing. We usually give a fall distribution. And you might say, well, other village corporations give out a spring distribution. And that's because those corporations receive 7I, 7J natural resource money from Sealaska. So Sealaska gives them the money, and the corporation can determine how much or any it wants to give out to you, the shareholder. Well, Goldbell doesn't receive that from Sealaska. That money goes straight to you from Sealaska. We don't receive a penny of it. We don't touch it. We don't have anything to do with it. So when you receive a larger than normal distribution from Sealaska in the spring, that's because you're getting that natural resource revenue sharing money that other corporations give out through their own distribution process. And again, we're super pumped about last year. $14 per share was incredible. Are we going to do that again? Maybe. Not this year, but maybe in the future. Our goal is to have steady business growth with thoughtful investment and management so you can count on a dividend happening every year. And how we're doing that is we're endowing benefits. So you can, in the future, receive separate dividends. You'll receive one from the Goldbell Ancestral Trust, and you'll receive one from the Tana Distribution Trust. And that will allow us to have distributions from investments and distributions from business operations that will allow you to have a steady stream of revenue that you can count on every year. And that's really why we don't think we'll have a special dividend this year, but it depends. We might hit it out of the park again. And the board of directors might say, geez, it's really important for us to do this. And we always respect the will of the board. I can't say enough at how responsible and thoughtful and active the board has been through the pandemic. We've been able to tackle some very difficult issues, very challenging, unique issues, and we've done it as a team. And the board has worked so well with management, and we've really had great discussions to provide a steady growth path that we don't see ebbing in the near future. Let's go to the next slide. So one of these things that we're talking about as far as, what do we do and how do we do and what does our growth look like? You can see here in our net income, 2016, we had a really tough year, $247,000 in net income. And then 2017 and 2018, we did 3.2 million. And then 2019 and 2020, we did just over $10 million, which were record years for us. We were so proud of that. But in 2021, to triple that, it was really a reflection of what we've been doing here at Goldbell to create a strong business platform. Now, we do rely on federal government contracting quite a bit, and we have a diverse set of businesses in that group. One thing that's really good is the federal government always pays its bills. We don't have to worry about going to collections to try to get someone to pay when we perform work. The federal government does that. Another thing that's really good is that we've thoughtfully expanded our business into areas that have and require high skill. And all of those areas of operations were essential during the pandemic. Our employees were not laid off. Our employees were not reduced in hours. In fact, quite the opposite happened. We were given more hours, and we were given more work, and it reflects in that net income graph. And our reputation has preceded us. So we've been able to expand and be known as a service provider of the highest quality. So we have a very strong positive reputation, and contracting offices want to work with us because they know that our word is good. We will accomplish what we said we will accomplish, and we will do it fairly and responsibly and exceed customer expectations. And so we are hopeful that we can continue to maintain this level of performance. We're hoping that we can stay at this $30 million. And the reason why I say I'm hopeful is because we have two tracks of business. We have service business that is reoccurring, and then we have sales business, which is typically one-time sales. And that really expanded for us during the pandemic. And that's going to be discussed in the next slide. So when we talk about Operation Warp Speed and the pandemic response, we had some pretty awesome opportunities because of our reputation. And so first and foremost, the federal government needed to get suppliers and businesses to help it support the vaccination effort. There were companies that were making vaccines. There were companies that were helping states, hire nurses and doctors to administer vaccines. And there were also companies that were selling products like needles and syringes to the federal government. Goldbell played a role in that because we were asked. We did not solicit to play. We were asked to play. Our reputation preceded us to allow us to have our foot in the door without even knowing it. And the contracting office said, hey, we need help getting 541 million syringes. And instead of Goldbell saying, no, we can't do that, it's not worth it, we definitely said we can help and we'll figure out a way to help. We want to be a part of a solution. We want to help save our loved ones and our families and our neighbors and our fellow countrymen. And we did that. And it was such a success. And that was one reason why we had a large one-time growth in our sales, in our revenue, and our net income. So our challenge this year is to continue with that goodwill, that positive reputation, and build business around it to allow us to immediately replace that one-time sales revenue and keep our trajectory of growth growing strong. One of those, if we go to the next slide, we can talk about another one of those opportunities came to us from COVID test kits. And we'll talk about how that impacts our operating income. So because we did so well in the pandemic response with needles and syringes, when President Biden announced just before Christmas that he wanted to have COVID test kits delivered to your house, that group that was working on the pandemic response was also working on the test kit response. And they called us up and said, we want to offer you an opportunity to sell test kits to the government. And we did that. We sold 8 million test kits to the federal government with an opportunity to sell another 7.5 million. It hasn't been executed yet, but we're excited and we're hopeful that people will continue to need test kits and will be picked up for that option to sell more. So my request to you today is that you send in a note to the federal government, ask to get your test kits delivered. And it doesn't matter if you don't use them, share them with friends and neighbors. As long as there's high demand, hopefully Goldbell can get some more work and we'll be able to continue to perform and meet our expectations and exceed our goals for the year. And why is that important? Obviously, our benefits that we give to you are fueled from our business performance. And so our income from operations and our net income are going to start being a little different. You're going to see some things change. And that's because we've used all of our net operating losses. Our NOLs are done. All of the NOLs that were left from the timber days have been used. And what is an NOL? What is a net operating loss carry forward? Well, it was a remnant from a period in the past that a business took a loss and we weren't able to write off all of that loss right away. We could write it off sometime in the future. And with the success that Goldbell has been having, we've been using all of those net operating losses to not pay federal taxes. But in the last 2 years, we've eaten up the remainder of our NOLs, our net operating losses, and we're now paying federal taxes. So you're going to see an income from operations line as a little bit higher than a net income line because after taxes, that's our net income. And we're doing our best to defer taxes. And it's important that we talk about this now because it goes into why we use the Tana Trust and why we have the Goldbell Ancestral Trust. Those contributions to those trusts are made and defer taxes to Goldbell Inc. So if we make cash contributions for distributions to you through those trusts and for investment purposes into those trusts, Goldbell Inc. pays less tax and you get more benefit. And our sole purpose here is to maximize our earning opportunity to create benefits that are long lasting for you, the shareholder. And obviously here we are, 30 million, triple our previous record high. We're pretty proud of that number. Let's move to the next slide. So here's our equity as well. And this is important because our equity position needs to be strong so we can have strong banking opportunities. And if we have a high equity, we're able to secure loans at a better rate. We're able to do more business, and it will allow us to leverage our existing assets to take on new opportunities, specifically in the commercial space to build Alaska. And I can't emphasize enough how much of a priority that is for our board of directors. We just finished a meeting earlier today where we were talking about how our opportunity to invest in commercial assets in Juneau in Southeast Alaska is an extreme priority, but it takes a lot of capital. It's heavy. And so we have to have a strong financial balance sheet to support lending to build these big projects, whether it's a ferry terminal at Cascade Point or a potential gondola at Eaglecrest or something else like that. There are opportunities for us to invest in the community and build just more job opportunities, but also a more diverse business platform for continued sustainable benefit delivery to you. And you could see we met our goal. So the directors and I, we have discussions and strategic planning meetings about where we need to shoot for. And in 2019, we had a meeting and we said, what are we going to do in 3 to 5 years? I think we can raise our equity by 25%. And we thought that was a pretty lofty goal, and it happened. And what's more important about that is it happened because it's only Goldbell Inc. And Goldbell Inc. is a separate legal entity from the Goldbell Ancestral Trust. And we made a significant contribution to the Goldbell Ancestral Trust this year. And we paid out $4.5 million in dividends through the Tana Trust. So you can see that at $75 million with our equity position, that would have been even higher had we not made those distributions. Now, granted, we want to make those distributions because they are our priority. Investing in you is important. And so we are proud to be able to deliver on that promise, to generate consistent benefits, to build our equity and build our business strength so we can continue to meet your expectations and exceed the expectations that our elders set for Goldbelt almost 50 years ago. Let's go to the next slide, please. So talking about the Ancestral Trust, you all passed this in 2014. And the idea is that we would have an endowment that would pay out benefits, pay out scholarships, dividends, and would also pay out burial benefits. So those were the 3 areas of contribution. And Goldbell Inc. wasn't making a lot of money back then, but it was making disciplined, thoughtful investments. So every year, a little bit of money was put in, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000. And then we were able to reach a point in 2021 where we contributed $11 million. And the goal is that we reach at least $30 million in that fund so it starts spinning off enough interest from its investment activities to pay out a separate dividend. And that's really the board's goal. So the board's objective is to reach that spring-fall distribution, just like we all discussed. But that spring distribution is not going to be from operations. It's going to be from investment performance. And that's where the Ancestral Trust comes in. So it's so important for us to maintain a discipline and continue to invest in that. So that way it has the principle it needs to perform and spin off enough investment earnings to pay a benefit, to pay a dividend, but also so it can pay for scholarships, so it can pay for burial benefits. And we won't be limited by the amount of performance that the operating businesses have each year. This will perform on its own. The extreme end of this is that we'll have success in operations, we'll have success in the Ancestral Trust investments, and both will contribute to expanding our benefits and really making long-lasting impacts to all of our shareholders. Let's go to the next slide. So we've been busy, we've been in the news, and it's really cool. It's great to be in the news. One of the downsides of being in the news is that people know about you and you become a target. So we ask everybody to maintain a very thoughtful, hypersensitive approach to cybersecurity. At Goldbell, we are very committed to cybersecurity. We have double and triple checks for everything. And I'd like you to do that too, because it's important for us to be safe, for you to be safe, and for our systems to be safe. So as we maintain a strong presence in the news and continue to outperform our expectations and reach highlights, people know about us and bad actors want to try to get at us. So let me give you some, for instances, of why we were in the news. I'm sure you've heard about the Afghanistan Rescue. In August last year, when President Biden made the announcement that we were going to remove any military presence and U.S. presence from Afghanistan, Goldbell had employees there. And we knew that was coming, so we immediately evacuated our employees back to the country. They came back to the United States and they were safe. But the people that were not safe were the Afghan nationals that were working for us. We had about 38 Afghan nationals and their families who the Taliban threatened to kill. And there were more people like that. And so we reached out to the State Department and said, hey, we have a moral obligation to help some of these people so they don't die. And the State Department agreed. And it asked us to do a bunch of work to clear people for evacuation from Afghanistan. And we did that. And we were able to be the first plane to leave Afghanistan and reach America with 400 evacuees on it. And now you might think they're all Afghan nationals. They weren't. There were Americans that were stuck there too. Thankfully, they weren't Goldbell employees. They weren't our Americans. There were no Alaskans that we know of. But we had 115 Americans, U.S. citizens on that plane, and 285 Afghan nationals that were able to be freed from the tyranny that was going to happen afterwards. And I know many of you see the news, read the news, and it's really sad what has happened and how it has digressed there in Afghanistan. But we are very proud of that effort to save people, to help people. We believe that all lives are precious, and we work very hard to help people at home, and we're going to help the people we work with as well. And it's important that we maintain that word and our honor and our traditional values through all aspects of our work. All aspects. Another element in the news, which was really cool, was at the beginning of January in 2022, we were in the Wall Street Journal. We were in every local news outlet. In fact, Director Lori Grant was in Washington State, and she said, "McHugh, I saw us on the local news. They were talking about Goldbell." It was so neat to hear that and get that feedback. And we were in the news because we were the first company awarded on President Biden's test kit effort. So we were the first company that was given a commitment to sell test kits to the federal government. And we were so proud of that. And we were so proud to be in the news and to lead the way and to help people just maintain their health and their safety. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to test all the time, but if you think you're sick and you want to protect a loved one, why not use a test? And if we have the opportunity to help people get those in their hands. Now, we don't have them at the corporate office, so please don't come to headquarters and say, hey, I want to get a test. McHugh told me they were there. They're not there. We don't have any at headquarters. We delivered all of our test kits to the federal government and to a distribution site, and they were responsible for doing the rest. So if you want any, please, again, help us get more sales. Help us. You can do this. Call up, sign up, get some test kits mailed to your house, and we'd love to have some of that business expand and repeat thanks to you. Another area that was in the news is Goldbelt Transportation and our ferry service. I know those of you in Southeast Alaska have been fed up with the lack of ferry service. I'm disgusted by it. I know that our state can do better. And what we've been doing at Goldbelt is leaning in to try to push for a positive solution. We believe there's a hub and spoke opportunity to allow our ferry system to have right-sized vessels go to smaller communities to link up to bigger vessels and bigger communities. And someone living in Tenakee Springs doesn't need a car hauler to come there once a week. They need something smaller that can allow them to get their groceries in and out, that can be reliable, dependable transportation, affordable transportation. And that's what we're trying to provide. And so Goldbelt, working with Allen Marine, we were able to bid on 6 routes that the ferry service offered up for private sector support. Allen Marine won 3, Goldbelt won 3, and we performed on those. And part of that is that we're also providing emergency backup services for the Marine Highway System as well. It's a 3-year contract, 1 year with 2 option years. And we're really excited to perform. We've had positive feedback from many people in the communities. We've been really excited to perform that work. And we want this to be a normal thing. We want to be able to link up and allow for people to go dependably, reliably, with an affordable rate back and forth from Hoonah to Juneau or from Sitka to Juneau. And then get on, a big ferry, the traditional blue canoe, if you want to make one of the mainline routes. If you're going from Juneau to Ketchikan, if you're going from Ketchikan down to Bellingham, Washington, if you're going from Juneau to Haines or Skagway, we want you to be able to use those, and we want to build ridership across the spectrum, because with more riders, it's going to bring the cost down, and we're going to have cheaper, reliable transportation, which will allow our economy to grow and our friends and loved ones to see each other, not to mention people get to the doctor. If you can't get on a plane, but you have to see a doctor, what are you going to do if you live in a remote village? And my heart really goes out to everyone who has been inconvenienced by the state, by the Marine Highway System for this. And we're really doing our part to help build a better, stronger, reliable system. Lastly, in the news is there's been some discussions that we've had with the city, and we're on the very, very front end of this, very beginning. I can't emphasize that enough. The city bought a gondola from a company in Austria, from a ski resort. And we've been talking at Goldbell about how do we expand our tourism footprint? How do we do more? How do we participate in the going up business, right? We go up Mount Roberts right now with the Goldbell Tram, but that's a more of a inclusive experience. It's got some cultural aspects. It has some light hiking, some wine, alcohol, some light food, things that are more approachable for everybody. But there's some interest to have more of an adventure park in the visitor industry in Juneau. And so Eaglecrest approached us and said, hey, will you be willing to invest in this? And the answer is maybe. We're working through the due diligence now to see if it would be a good investment. But most importantly, we want to make sure that we don't have competition at the Tram. If Eaglecrest were to build something and we were not a part of it, it might end up being something that's competition to the Tram. We want to avoid that. We want to help control all of the uphill activity and make sure that there's no competition. So everybody has their room to play, they have their focus, and everybody can make money appropriately. And if Goldbell invests in all of it, we'll make money in all of it. And we'll increase our job opportunities. We can have year-round opportunities for people working at the Tram to also work at Eaglecrest and vice versa. A lot of our systems are the same. And if we can have, engineers, technicians, it builds a skill set in our community that can also help out Hoonah. Hoonah has 2 gondolas now as well for Icy Strait Point. And if we can build that resource and build that technical expertise in Southeast Alaska, then we're going to be able to have a stronger employment base. We'll have a better standard of living, and we'll be able to offer more fun opportunities for visitors and for locals. I know a lot of my friends love to mountain bike and they love Eaglecrest. And if we could do that, and if we could ski it in the winter and have more opportunity and more area to ski and mountain bike and hike and maybe pick blueberries and do some other cool stuff, why not? Next slide, please. So, one thing that we do, if we go back just one more, we are going to have door prizes. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves though. So stick around, and I want to take questions later on too. I love talking about all of this, and I really miss seeing everyone in person. It's great when I can make connections and make eye contact and know that you're watching and I'm watching and we're having a discussion. And this is a different, unique experience where I'm talking at a screen and I'm just thinking that hopefully you're engaged, that you're enjoying this, and that you have questions to ask, and you get some cool door prizes later on. So in charitable giving, some of the elements that we think about and the board is very cognizant about is how do we invest in the community through charitable giving? We support a lot of sports teams, and we're happy about that. That's really cool. We have the Youth Empowerment Scholarship, some really neat things that have happened over the last 2 years that our directors have worked thoughtfully to put into place for you. And so a couple of things that we're committed to every year is celebration. Every other year, that is. Celebration happens on even years, and we're so proud to sponsor that. We give about $10,000 to Celebration. Excuse me. We're also donating to the Canoe Society to support that traditional voyage as well. And this year it's making its landing at Eaglecrest, and that's so cool. I love the symbolism there. I love everything about it, and we're so happy to support those activities. We also made in 2021 a contribution to the Sealaska Art Plaza. We think that Juneau has something so special, and it's because of you. All of the Tlingit heritage that we are a part of is something so unique, and visitors want to see it. And we want to support everybody who chooses to make culture a career. And so having outlets like carving at the Tram, or selling jewelry at the Tram, or making a demonstration at the new Arts Plaza, all of those things are important elements to our community that allow you to live the life you want to live and allow us to show off this amazing, rich culture and history that we have in Southeast, especially in Juneau. And we're just so proud of it. And it's just such a cool way to demonstrate our uniqueness and what makes us special. Another highlight that we have for charity is that we give generously to the Healing Hands Foundation. And I am a board member of the Healing Hand Foundation, and I personally give. I believe in it. It's something that, as being a search beneficiary, you may not be able to receive a service without meeting all of the copay. And some people can't meet all of their copays for things like hearing aids or glasses or dentures. And those are important pieces of life, especially to our elders that need some support for that. So what we've done is we've been giving to the Healing Hand Foundation, and See Alaska also gives the Healing Hand Foundation. So does Search and other Native entities in the community. And together we're able to allow many of our shareholders to receive partial payments for their obligation, for their cost share. And what does that do? It just makes health more achievable for everybody. And if our people aren't healthy, we won't be healthy as a community. And so we're really proud to support those people who need some help in their darkest hour. We can be there and help out, and we want everybody to be healthy. So if you think you need something and you're not sure how to get it and you need some financial assistance, we can pay half the copay. Reach out to Healing Hand Foundation. I know everybody there would be willing to help out and lean forward and try to find a solution for you. Let's go to the next slide. All right, door prizes. So we want to give some door prizes, and we're going to take some questions in just a little bit. I have some names that I'd like to read out. We're going to give out 5 door prizes. I believe it's $100 a piece. $100 each. Correct. Thank you, Juliet. So, and I want to say before we give out these prizes, huge thank you to Juliet, to Rob, and to Caitlin. They've done such an amazing job setting all of this up, making this work so flawlessly. We're not all in the same location, but that's the beauty of using these modern technology tools to share information. Doesn't matter where we're at, where we're working from, we can always share the good news and reach out and touch each other and make sure that everybody's doing all right. So, drum roll, please. The first $100 winner is Emily Carrillo. Am I saying that right? Carrillo? All right. Emily, call up headquarters. We'll reach out to you. We're going to do a push-pull off effort, and we'll make sure that you can get that $100. The second winner is Monica Hall. Monica, if you're still watching, congratulations. You're a $100 winner. Our third prize goes to Sarah Lampe. Sarah, you win $100. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and we're really happy to have you as part of this broadcast today. Our first ever internet broadcast like this. Sammy Baxter, you are winner number 4. Sammy will reach out to you. If you call up headquarters, that would be great. We'll also reach out to you through Shareholder Services. And our final door prize winner, number 5, lucky number 5, Eileen Osborne. Eileen, congratulations. You are a door prize winner. You're $100 richer. Thank you so much for participating. And thank you so much for everyone for supporting Goldbell. I mean, it's just so cool. It's really cool to know your interest, to see your support, whether it's on the streets in Juneau or in Anchorage or Seattle. I've even run into shareholders in the airport. It's so much fun. It's really exciting to see everyone's joy and encouragement and inclusion through our growth. We can't grow without you. And we want you to be part of the team. If there's somebody you know in your family that's looking for a job, we want to hire people. We want to hire shareholders. And there might not be jobs in Juneau. There might be jobs out of state. That's okay. Look and see what we have. If you're interested in something, we do a lot of work, medical research, cybersecurity, all kinds of different stuff, even construction. So please reach out to us. Don't forget us. You make us stronger because of you and your experience and your perspective. Together, we are better, and we want to be inclusive. So let's go to questions. And please send them in. I've got a list running on the side of my screen right now. And so the first question is, with gas prices and living costs increasing, can shareholders expect additional relief from Goldbell? We're not going to give out benefits based on current CPI, consumer price index, or inflation. What we do is we work with the board to figure out what is a prudent amount that is going to benefit shareholders without degrading the business. And I think that's important to know. So we gave out an extraordinary dividend last year at $14 per share, two $7 dividends. And that was because Goldbell had a banner year that allowed us to reach that. This year is probably not going to happen. Probably not going to be 2 distributions. Probably not going to be $14. So it's determined by business performance, not necessarily by the price of inflation or the current consumer price index. Question number 2, Goldbell's commitment to hiring shareholders. Who's counted as a shareholder employee? Is the goal to make Goldbell 100% shareholder run? Those are great questions, and I'm super happy you asked that. And I kind of walked into that just before we came into the question and answer period. So shareholders are shareholders. If you're a shareholder and you're registered with us, then you're considered a shareholder employee if you're working for us. We do keep track of other Alaska Natives that work for us that may not be shareholders, descendants and otherwise. We also keep track of spouses. So shareholder spouses, it's important that everybody participates. We have 1,500 employees at Goldbell. It's not possible for us to be 100% shareholder run. Now, I'm not a shareholder, but I hope that I'm training and working with the next CEO who will be a shareholder. We want to have shareholder involvement in all aspects of our business where people want to participate. Nobody wants to force something on anybody. I know every one of us has been in a position where we work somewhere and we don't like it. We don't like what we're doing. We don't wake up in the morning excited. We're bummed out. We're down. We don't want to work. That's not what we want at Goldbell. I wake up every day, and I know so many other employees that wake up every day excited, fired up to work. I love working for Goldbell, and I want everybody to love working at Goldbell. And so that's the attitude and the culture we want. So if people want to work at Goldbell and they want to work with us, for you, the shareholder, and do some really cool things, we want you on the team. If you don't, that's okay. You may have that passion in fish processing, and we don't have a fish processing plant. But I want you to pursue that passion, to be fired up for your job and continue to go to work and pursue your dream. If there's an element for someone to come to Goldbell and pursue their dream, we want them, and we're going to work to have them on our team. Before we go to the next question, I have to tell you, I'm so proud that 3 of the 9 executive team members at Goldbell are shareholders, and 5 of those 9 are minorities. I think we've come a long way in that, and we're going to continue to be inclusive and have all kinds of different ideas represented in the C-suite, because having a broad view makes us a better company as a whole. Let's go to question number 3. With the acknowledgement of corporations as tribes, do we foresee a casino in our future? That's awesome. That's great. The short answer is no. And that's not because we're not acknowledged as a tribal entity. It's because we don't have sovereignty in reservation system, and that was by design. Our elders put that together through ANCSA. So Goldbell isn't going to have a casino. Metlakatla has a casino because they're a reservation and they have that sovereign land. But until the state of Alaska changes the law to allow gaming in the state, Goldbell won't have a casino. Question number 4. How do you ensure that your Healing Hand Foundation membership is not a conflict of interest? Oh, great question. It's pretty easy because I'm not a recipient. I'm not a beneficiary. I can't participate in it. So I personally give, and the board decides what to give outside of that. And that's it. Pretty straightforward. And I also don't make a determination on how the money is distributed as far as who receives it. I help set policy guidelines to say, like, we'll support giving people money to meet their cost pay for like a crown. But beyond that, I don't have any involvement. What's the next question? Do we have another question? How does, let me see what I see here. Juliet, how does the board count? Give me a little more clarification, please. Oh, how does the board of directors count in shareholder hire? That's a great question. So there's a lot of questions from people are asking about directors. Are they employees? They're not employees. Board members are not. Board members are strategic advisors, and they're elected officials. You elect them. So they're not included in our employee count. Every board member has to be a shareholder. And so you fill those ranks. You provide the strategic values and the strategic guidance to make the corporation what it is. And I report to them. I report to the board members who report to you. So ultimately, you're my boss. And I take that very seriously. So when we receive information and direction, feedback, we take it all very seriously and apply it to the way we conduct our business to reflect what you need and want in your corporation. Let's go to the next question. Do you think a tax-free gas station might exist on Goldbell land in the future? Well, that goes right back to the casino question. So because we do not have sovereignty of a reservation, we won't have a tax-free gas station or a convenience store. I'm in a conference right now for tribal business, and many of the tribes in Lower 48 have these tax-free convenience stores, and they do pretty well selling gasoline, cigarettes, whatever else. But we don't have that because we don't have that sovereign land structure as was designed in ANCSA. We have the corporations, and we're still beholden to state of Alaska laws. So if there's a way to change that through the state in the future, that might be an opportunity, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I have another question. This one says, can shareholders expect another COVID relief package or payment this year? That was great. And what a great experience, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, I was pretty upset when the tribes sued to stop us from getting that CARES Act money. It was very disappointing, and I didn't hold that back from you before in our previous discussions. And I've talked to tribal leaders across the country about that and expressed my disappointment and frustration because at our lowest point, when we needed help, they stopped us from doing that. And one of our directors said it best. She said, divided, we are conquered, but together we're strong and we can win. And we should never divide ourselves. The Native community needs to stick together. We need to work together to make sure that we can represent our interests and not be defeated by the bigger government interest that may not be the same as ours. And so, we had a plan. We put it together in 2020 to distribute that CARES Act money. And when it didn't come in 2020, we put that plan on the shelf. And in 2021, when it did come, we pulled that plan off, dusted it off, and made a couple tweaks and executed on that plan. And I'm so proud that we were able to get out almost $11 million in benefits to you all in the span of 3 months. That's incredible. Our accounting team, our shareholder services team, everyone did such a great job to make that happen. And talk about benefit distribution. We paid out $15 million in benefits from our operational income to shareholders through dividends, scholarships, endowing the Ancestral Trust. But we also gave out another $11 million in CARES Act money for a total of $26 million distributed to shareholders. That's a huge record for us, and we are so proud of that. That's such a great way for us to show our respect, be responsive to your needs. But this year, we don't have access to any of those monies. The America Recovery Plan Act specifically wrote out Alaska Native corporations. So we're not in that, and we're not receiving any more COVID resources from the government. The only thing that we'll be able to distribute is our earned income. So we have a strong sense of urgency to continue to perform well with our businesses to provide those resources to pay those benefits to you. All right, we'll go to the next question. What is your take on the blood quantum issue Sea Alaska is exploring? Yeah, that's great. I talked about this on the radio with Kevin Allen. Talk about a cool guy. If you don't listen to Kevin Allen, give him a listen on 800 KINY. He does Capital Chat. He's in the newsroom. He's a shareholder. Just a cool guy, and I'm happy to see him engaged in our community, asking questions that are relevant to all of us. And we talked about this because everybody in Alaska Native Corporation world, land, if you will, is interested in seeing how we remain relevant in the future. As shares become less per person, how do we remain impactful? And, everybody has a different idea of how they're going to do it. I don't personally have a position on Sea Alaska. I think Sea Alaska is doing what they think is best, and I applaud them for doing something, because everybody's reaching out and doing something in their own way. At Goldbell, we're having that same conversation. Our directors are so thoughtful about how do we maintain relevancy and how do we share ideas and information and learn what our shareholders want. So we take action that reflects that. So is it right or wrong? I don't know. All I know is that Sea Alaska is doing what it thinks is best to include everybody and say, you're Native enough. And I know that we at Goldbell are looking to see what we can do to make sure that we keep people involved. And we want everybody to feel like they're a part of our family, because it didn't matter how much. When you were a part of the family, you're part of the family, and that's it. Let's go to the next question. Goldbell does a majority of its business outside of Alaska. So why couldn't a casino be run in the state of Nevada? Great question. Great follow-up. I'm glad you asked that too. So, in theory, we could buy a piece of land and open up a casino, but we wouldn't have the competitive advantage that, say, a tribal entity in Nevada would have. And so for us, it's not in our wheelhouse. It's not what we do. And we're focused on building our business through expanding our current expertise. We've established ourselves as a very credible business partner in all aspects of cybersecurity, in medical research, and we're looking to see how we can take those business lines deeper with our existing clients, but also expand them into new clients and commercial clients as well. And then if we have the opportunity with a competitive advantage to go into the gaming world, we would consider that. So let's go to the next question. How does Goldbell feel about the Eaglecrest Gondola when their business plan and estimate might be inaccurate, specifically for the shipping? Shipping a gondola system from Austria to Juneau will cost more than double, right? And the initial estimate is a feasibility study that shareholders, yes, there is a feasibility study shareholders can look at. And then the other question is, I thought Eaglecrest was a proven losing business. Correct. So there's a business plan on Eaglecrest's website, and I can tell you that part of our due diligence is that Goldbell is doing our own feasibility. We're looking to see what we think are reasonable. We know the kind of numbers in the summertime that people ride the tram, so we have a good idea of how many people will go and ride an outdoor adventure activity associated with a gondola at Eaglecrest. So that could be mountain biking, it could be hiking, but it's adventure-based activity. It's not the lower impact activity that we do at the tram. So we're building our own case study around that. And the reason why we think this is important is the city's already bought the tram, or the gondola rather, and they've already paid for the shipping. So we're not paying for that. Originally, we thought when we were approached to pursue this that it would be a $35 million investment. And that's just not something that our numbers supported to have a going concern for business, to have a profitable business. Because to your point, Eaglecrest is a loser in the winter. There's just not enough people riding. There's maybe 3,000 unique passengers, maybe 5,000 on a really good snow year. But in the summertime, we think we can get up to 125,000, maybe 150,000 unique ticketed buyers. And that changes the game. And that's a very easy number to reach when we have 1 million cruise ship passengers coming to town. And so we believe that with the right ticket pricing, that we'll be able to recover our initial investment rapidly. We'll be able to double it, and we'll be able to have a very sustainable, profitable business that not only supports Goldbell and our shareholder interests, but it also allows the city to make some money off of it, so Eaglecrest doesn't weigh on the city's needs, so that is a profitable business for the city as well. It pays for perhaps the Parks and Recs department. Maybe it pays for the ice rink, or it pays for the swimming pools. So our tax burden is potentially lessened in the future as a community. The next question is, can Goldbell look into a program for these virtual meetings? For the visual and hard of hearing shareholders? Absolutely. And I know I speak rapidly, and I thank you for your patience and your indulgence with me. I'm really excited about this, and it's hard for me to contain my enthusiasm. We are trying this for the first time, and we will continue to improve this. I know that we're looking to do more of these regularly to augment our in-person meetings. We know that with the acceptance of video conferencing and how our society has changed through the pandemic, that we can have more interaction with you one-on-one and share more information and learn from each other and be more responsive. So yes, we will absolutely look into this, and we will make these better in the future. Don't forget, last call for questions. We are going to wrap up at 1 o'clock Alaska time. So please, if you have any other questions, send them in now. I do have a couple more here. Another question is, does the Goldbell Tram offer shareholder discounts? Absolutely. $5 shareholder tickets. And I think that's so cool. In fact, I'm going to tell you a little story. So my nephew, who's a shareholder, he was able to go on his first date, and it was at the Tram this spring. And I'm so proud of him. He was able to get shareholder tickets. He took his date up. They had a great time. And I think that's a really cool benefit that we can offer to our shareholders. So if you want to do anything with your family, if you have people coming to town, don't forget during celebration, if people are wearing regalia, they go up for free. So please continue to engage, use the Tram, be proud of it. We're proud of it. And we're going to see some expansion there as well. Our plans in the near future are to improve that experience, to modernize that experience, and make it something that is reflective of the world-class destination that we believe Juneau and the Goldbell Tram are and can offer. One other question, and don't forget, we still have time. We've got about 8 minutes, so if you have any questions, feel free to write them in. Why does Goldbell only offer one distribution and not two? Well, the fact of the matter is that our distributions are based on company performance. So we don't have a fund that is being filled from last year that will pay for this year's distribution. This year's business performance pays for this year's distribution. And that's exactly what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to have a more dependable model that operates independently of business operations, but can include business operations. And that's why we talked earlier about the Ancestral Trust. But it's another thing to think about too, is that it costs money every time we make a distribution. So if we make multiple smaller distributions, it costs Goldbell Inc. more, and that takes away money for you to receive through a distribution. So financially speaking, the best bang for the buck is to do one larger distribution at the end of the year so you receive the most money possible. Please ask any other questions. I love talking about this. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much to everyone. We had more than 90 shareholders join us live today. That's so cool. For our first live stream, I really appreciate that. I'm so thankful that you care, that you want to be involved, and let us know what we can do, how we can do better. We are your corporation. I mean this very seriously, that when I see people in the grocery store, wherever, I stop and listen and pay attention, because you have something to share. Your voice is important. You matter. And we want to live up to your expectations. We want to live up to our ancestors' expectations, our elders who created ANCSA, who created Goldbell. I know they're proud of us. And together, we'll continue to make a robust, strong company that you can all be proud of. So we don't have any other questions. It's just been a great time seeing everyone and talking to everyone today. And if you have any further follow-up questions, send some emails to info@goldbell.com, and we'll answer them that way. I hope you have a wonderful spring. Enjoy the summer, and we'll see you at Celebration.